Hi, I'm Gil Fulbright. The people that run my campaign, they've made this commercial, and I'm in it. This campaign, it's not about me. It's about crafting a version of me that'll appeal to you. A version that visits random work sites with paid actors pointing at things. A version of me that doesn't find old people loathsome or pointless. Has a conventionally attractive yet curiously still family. Listening to my constituents, legislating, these are things I don't do. What I do is spend about 70% of my time raising funds for re-election. I'd do anything to stay in office. My name's Gil Fulbright, but hell, I'll change my name to Phil Goldbright or Bill Fulbright or fill up my mouth with farts. These are the things that are important to me. And these are the fine people that finance my campaign. Now, in order to do these things, I have to stay in office. And to stay in office, I have to keep these guys happy. Now, if any of these things make these guys unhappy, well, my hands are tied. So come November, the choice is clear. Do you want another spineless mouthpiece for special interest and lobbyists? Or a spineless mouthpiece for special interest and lobbyists? I'm Philip my mouth with farts, and I approve this message.
The perfect political ad.
You know, these actors, the casting is just fantastic. Who's ever making these parody ads, the casting is brilliant. Yeah, you know, the ads are okay, but I mean, look at this guy. He looks like Tim Walz combined with with Chris Farley if they had a baby or something. Holy crap!
Yeah, it's so perfectly on point.
Right.
It's like, you know what? Why not start with a neutral thing that's just funny?
Very neutral, just fun for the whole family.
Versus an insult comic.
Oh, the insult. Well, look, I don't understand. The conservatives should not do comedy. I don't know. I don't understand Gutfeld. I don't understand this guy. But although Jon Stewart is defending him, saying he's a comic, I must go to the rafters and defend any comic, according to Jon Stewart.
Okay, that's the weird part, and I'm waiting for the chat to light up. I know I pointed this out on Locals. It's my opinion. I know a lot of people get pissed about it, but the guy should not have been there in that position. And it's not his fault.
No.
He's an insult comic. That's his job. When you hire somebody like that, what is he going to do? And then those who are saying, hey, Don Rickles opened for Ronald Reagan. This guy's not Don Rickles.
Dude, Don Rickles is an American legend. This guy's a douchebag. You know, the fact that you would go up there, and there were a bunch of other comics in my Twitter feed who have worked with him and have said he's bombed every single night they've ever been paired up with the guy, as other comics, as working comics. So whoever he is, I mean, I again, I don't get these jokes because they're not really jokes. And the only question at the end of the day is, how many Puerto Rican votes did he give us? How many Puerto Rican votes did he lose us?
Not only that, other Latinos.
Pennsylvania, and there's something like 100,000 or 200,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania alone. I'm sure they're down on their asses, the opposition, and this guy gives them a sword for. And I blame the Trump people for booking him.
100%. I mean,
I don't blame him.
It's just ludicrous, and I'm not going to say he's a bad. I actually enjoy the guy on Kill Tony when he's in the club in Austin, which is mean. Have Jay Leno come out. Do you think Jay Leno would have upset anybody, or
Eric, any comic on the face of the planet Earth saying, "Do you want to work a full house at Madison Square Garden?" would kill their mother to get up on that stage. So they pick the lowest common denominator, unfunny douche before 20,000 people to have a set up there. And I don't know how long the set was. I really am just trying to eradicate the whole thing.
About 10 minutes.
Well, it's 10 minutes too long.
I agree. And it's frustrating to me. And there were others that were poor choices too. Grant Cardone.
I don't know who that is, but is that another comic? Or why do we need comics? I don't understand. Were there a lot of comics there?
No, he's not a comic. Grant Cardone is
this guy.
He's a sketchy. He's like a sketchy bro investor type. Scientologist. Anyway,
oh my God, what are they? Where are they getting these people from?
I don't know. I don't know.
20,000. It should have been Marilyn Monroe popping out of a cake or the equivalent of it. It's Madison Square Garden, for Christ's sakes.
Well, absolutely. And then those people are saying, well, I'm Puerto Rican and I'm there and it didn't bother me. It's like, we're not talking about people that were there.
I'm sure
we're talking about everybody who wasn't there.
Right. I'm sure it didn't bother the people who were there. But again, ask yourselves at the end of the night, how many Puerto Rican votes did we gain and how many did we lose because of this schmuck for 10 minutes? Is it 5,000 votes? Is it 500? Is it 50,000? Because I'm certain that we did not pick up any Puerto Rican votes. And I mean Puerto Rican Americans.
Yeah, and somebody pointed out, Tim Allen would have been fantastic.
There's so many people. Even this Jim Gaffigan, who was on for the other thing, could have been 100%. Great.
Yeah.
You're telling me Gaffigan wouldn't like to work a 20,000 seater? Give me a break.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
There are people, and I don't know if this is Charlie Kirk's Turning Point that booked this thing. There are people in the Trump orbit who are so out of touch with American pop culture that they should have a cabinet position, not them. There should be a cabinet position about American pop culture for the right, because they are inevitably clueless about many of the things. And I'm coming from the other side. I just got here. But it's shocking to me how clueless they are about American pop culture.
True. And I kind of think that they had Hinchcliffe on because he's edgy and they're going for the young crowd, but they've already got the young bro crowd. I mean, people, and again, I enjoy Tony Hinchcliffe on Kill Tony. Great.
Dude, your whole job the last 2 weeks is to do no damage. That's it. You do no damage. They can't fucking help themselves.
Yep. It's very, 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 very frustrating.
Like, I don't mind that it's at Madison Square Garden because obviously they look foolish, as this is not the Madison Square Garden where the American Third Reich had their rally. That was the old Madison Square Garden, built in 1925. Just for people at home, that was on 49th, between 49th and 50th on 8th. This is a building called Madison Square Garden. That's between 32nd and 33rd on 7th. And this is not the same building. This one was built in 1968. This is the one that's the home of the New York Knicks and the Rangers and is opened in 1968, way past the Third Reich, just for people.
Well, and it's also served other well-known Nazis like Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and just about everybody under the sun. So it's a complete bullshit thing all around.
Well, post 1968. That being said, my joke on Twitter was that they must have been watching the Seinfeld episode where there was a Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden and Seinfeld comes in and they take a limo from the airport, making believe that they are 2 or 3 different guys to steal the limo, a free ride. And it turns out that they are the American Nazi leaders going to the rally at Madison Square Garden, the current Madison Square Garden, which is where I think the left got their facts from Seinfeld. Just my joke.
It could be. And I'm so glad that they did that, because I think that does help mitigate the damage, because they're so busy clutching their pearls and going nuts and saying Nazi, 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 that everything that was a mistake kind of got overshadowed by their stupidness. Speaking of which, did you see that bit with Mehdi Hassan or whatever on CNN, and the guy Ryan, who said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
Yeah. Again, I didn't understand the context of the joke. I just saw the headline. I'd have to hear the
Mehdi was calling him a Nazi, essentially.
Okay.
And then he said, crack, I hope your beeper doesn't go off, because Hassan is very, very much sympathetic to the Palestinians. We don't know to what
was
degree.
This the guy fired by MSNBC?
Mehdi was fired by CNN before. He was
how did this guy get back on? I thought he was
guess
fired.
He's irregularly on now, and then the other guy was like a guest. It was just kind of weird, but that other guy is now banned from CNN apparently forever. You see, so you could say Nazi, that's okay, but something else, no, not so much.
What happened to the fat guy, Brian Stelter? I thought he was
he's back.
How did all these people come back? What are they going to the bullpen and come out the next season? I don't understand these bans.
I don't know how he came back.
How did he come back? I don't understand. These people are fired and then they come back.
I don't know. Somebody said they brought back Potato Head. Yeah, that guy was just
Well, he
show
looks like
reliable
the
sources.
Pillsbury Doughboy is what I call him. But yeah,
okay.
What were his crimes against humanity? Didn't he do something bad, Eric?
Low ratings.
Oh, low ratings. That was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and he went. Cuomo went. Don Lemon went. They were kind of all together at different times in the.
Who was the guy doing the thing while they're on a Zoom call behind the scenes?
Oh, Tubin.
Jeffrey Tubin. Is he back also?
A verb. He's back.
He's back too. Everybody's back.
Yep.
The whole family's back.
Yep.
You know why they're all coming back? Because Trump's coming back, and they need them to come out of the bullpen when Trump is back in the White House, and they could go back to their original offensive attack on the guy who's coming back.
That could be.
They need the same players. I mean, their ratings were through the roof.
Well, yeah, because of Trump.
Right, but I'm saying they're bringing back the same army to go at him again.
Oh, yeah, that could be, but okay, that does bring us to one of the stories. I don't know, you didn't seem to want to cover it, but you need to now. I mean, you've got LA Times, Washington Post, now USA Today, all saying, oh, you know what? No more. Can people hear me? Because I think you cut out on your audio. I don't know. Let me know if folks can hear me, because it looks like Mark can't hear. Check. Chat, can you hear me? Yes, you hear me. Okay, so I'm good. You good now? Can you hear me? Okay, you're muted. You are muted. And I heard a click. So somehow you muted yourself. I don't know what happened. I'm not muted. I'm not muted. You are. Anyway, I'll talk while Mark's doing technical discovery. Essentially, I found it very, very interesting that USA Today is now joining the non-endorsement bit with all the newspapers. So you have LA Times, you have the Washington Post, and you have USA Today. And then, of course, you have Jeff Bezos.
Go ahead.
Hey, I hear you now. Jeff Bezos wrote that editorial. But what I love about this is they're trying to say, well, we're taking a sudden principled stance that we've never had, forever. And I'm thinking, no, you don't want to back a loser. They're looking at these polls and saying, we're going to look like the dumbest asses in the world if we back Kamala Harris and she loses, and then we have to deal with Trump.
Well, let me add one that I'm assuming you were talking about this for a couple of minutes. The LA Times one, where the Chinese doctor billionaire came in and did the same thing at the LA Times. His daughter, an avowed Marxist, countered by saying that the lack of an endorsement was because of Kamala Harris's stance on Gaza. That was proven in Community Notes to be a lie. She made that up. They simply could have written that as an editorial for no endorsement. They didn't. So the Marxist, Asian Marxist woman who was unofficially running the paper for the past 4 years, lied to say the lack of an endorsement. This is just my LA Times version. Added on. The father came in, did the same thing that Jeff Bezos did the same thing that USA Today did without an explanation. Mm-hmm. She got a group together of her friends and came up with the cock and bull story that it was about Gaza. Thanks.
Hey, I think that's great. But you know what I love that's happened after all this too? We've had two editors quit. Yeah. LA Times and Washington Post, the editor-at-large quit there.
Wonderful.
And I'm like, oh, please, more of you quit. And now it's becoming a trend, and they're not going to be able to find a job anywhere because they're all in a death spiral. Nobody can afford their bloated salaries for the piece of,
Well, the other upside is the 8% digital subscription cancellation at the Washington Post. And now 4%, I heard this morning on the news at the LA Times so far, of cancellations. Because they want their fascist news coming out of Germany. They want their Stürmer. They want their newspaper to deliver the fascist news to them. So they're canceling because they didn't endorse the candidate from the Third Reich.
Now, here's the funny part. Sad but true. I could see ultimately the post subscriptions going up if they at least pretend to be somewhat of a newsworthy source. People will flock to it because everybody is looking for a newspaper that's legitimate. And if they can get across the middle American line, they're going to outsell everybody.
Buddy, the LA Times has a total subscription of a couple of 100,000 in a city and a county of 10 million people. They're more irrelevant than the CNN. Who gives a shit that this woman left and they did this, not endorsing them? They don't have any subscribers.
No, they don't. And I bet they will improve.
It can only go one way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if anything, just save the salary. You know what? Why don't the product will improve if you just have an intern run the place, probably.
Well, that's what they had at MTV. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, when I first hooked up with MTV with my company, I was shocked to go over there to see it was one floor of corporate executives making $250,000 to $500,000 a year. And that must have, I say one floor. I mean, it literally was a floor and people were maybe 30, 20 corporate executives running the whole thing. The rest were interns. And I mean, hundreds of interns doing everything from getting coffee to, cleaning the toilets.
Yeah, well,
that was before they changed the law saying you got to pay interns something, because it used to be you had to pay. This was in 89, 90. You didn't have to pay them anything.
Yeah, I think it's only been in like the last maybe 10 years that they've had to start paying interns.
I think so. And
that's what ultimately was killing Vice and others, because Tim Pool was talking about when he was at Vice. He said, the dirty secret was that he said nobody was paid who worked there. It was all interns. They were all rich kids, all from Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
And we said same thing with the New York Times, all these papers, and mommy and daddy will pay because they like the status of their child working at these rags. And there you go. But before we go any further, we need to pay our bills. And for that,
what does that mean? You need money right now? Or?
Well, we always need money, but we have an ad. We have a sponsor.
Oh.
So let's check it out. It's brand new.
What?
Buy a BioComplete with Dr. Gundry.
What?
Speaking of digestive issues, this is caused by a potential toxin that's in all the, quote, healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat with a fraudulent food pyramid for the longest time. And this potential toxin causes digestive issues, according to Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist. This is affecting millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain and fatigue and digestive discomfort and stiff joints, even skin problems. Well, Dr. Gundry explains these side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. I can assure you that the damage is probably caused by these, quote, health foods and is far from normal. The good news is you can easily help fix this problem from your own home. It's very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain this hidden potential toxin. So you can go find this yourself at gutcleanseprotocol.com/untold. That's gutcleanseprotocol.com/untold. Or click on the link in the description below. Because after years of research, Dr. Gundry has decided to release an informative video to the public free and uninterrupted, showcasing exactly which foods you need to avoid. Go find that video at gutcleanseprotocol.com/untold. All right.
Well, I'm looking for it right now. Hold on, I gotta get my gut cleansed before the meetup. I gotta clean my gut. I mean, who can have a meetup without a clean gut, Hunley?
Well, yeah, without a doubt. But I gotta tell you that these are really important to us. If anybody's been paying attention on X right now, you'll notice that Tucker Carlson, Babylon Bee, Ben Shapiro, Benny Johnson,
right on,
and I don't know who else, but they've all gotten a handy little DM or text from, hi, I'm fill in the blank from the New York Times.
Yeah.
And we've been collecting some research from our team at Media Matters, or he said Media Matters is helping the system. Now, everybody knows by now, Media Matters is run by a scurrilous cat named David Brock, who was a Republican in the late 90s, flipped over to the Clinton team. Absolutely disgusting individual, horrible hit piece writer, totally in bed with the Democrats. This guy right now is trying to get his last bit in before he's sued out of oblivion by Elon Musk, who is going after not only him personally, but all the board of directors on Media Matters. However, what they're doing is attacking YouTubers directly. And in the query that he put out, he was asking questions like, are you monetized or part of the YouTube partner program? How many videos do you have that are demonetized? You know that you're peddling misinformation, and we have found misinformation in 200 and some odd videos that you've put out. Now, here is the problem that I see with it. Are they going to knock Tucker out? No. Are they going to knock Shapiro out? No, probably not. I mean, these guys are strong. They have big organizations behind them. Mark and I are not strong. So any ad that we get,
how you define strength, but
what have you?
We're strong in certain areas.
Sponsor, any super chats, and especially locals.
Yeah.
And I would deeply appreciate it. I know I always say, hey, please, please go to locals. Please go to locals. You can be a member there for free, but I'm not kidding. Please go to locals, unstructured.locals.com. You could be a member for free. We could be knocked out, get a strike. We are 1 week from the election. If we get a strike, guess what? We're silenced for the election, and you'll need to watch us on Locals or Rumble or somebody else. So please consider going there. Again, you can be a member for free. I'm not saying you have to subscribe or anything else, but it will allow us to reach out to you. And it's really, really important.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff over there. And there's a big locals network. Rich Barris has locals. All of these guys now have a locals channel that's pretty damn big. And it's owned by Rumble, so they're linked together now. So there's a lot of synergy.
They are. And we're on Rumble as well, but locals, it will give you an email. If you're on locals and you're signed up, every time we put out a show, I say, hey, we've got a show, and you'll get an email. Oh, the show's today, or this is going on. And it allows us to notify if something goes crazy. And I'm telling you, it is crazy. It's getting worse all the time. We have drop boxes for ballots on fire.
What?
You have people in Pennsylvania being harassed by the cops and others to keep them out of the line. They literally walked behind the people today, dropped a sign, line ends here.
Whoa. They're getting desperate, Eric. I think they're getting desperate, and they're resorting to desperate measures.
Yes.
I mean, look what's happening up in New Hampshire. I mean, it flipped 7 points in the span of a week in New Hampshire. It's crazy. What the hell's going on up there? I mean, New Hampshire seems pretty damn stable, but you're talking about a 7-point swing in the span of like 10 days, bro.
Yeah, well, what about where I live? Virginia.
Yeah, what's going on there?
According to Rich Barris, and now other sources as well, Kamala has given up on North Carolina, pulled her money out of North Carolina, and is flooding Virginia with ads, which is telling me Virginia's flipping. And if Virginia, that's what I was trying to say, is if we win Virginia, we don't even need to wait on Pennsylvania. That's telling that it's a sweep. And I mean, the popular vote, he's ahead now in the popular vote. I don't know if he's going to slip back under after Sunday, but it looks like he's holding on. So that's good. I'm very, very encouraged about the Joe Rogan thing with Kamala Harris. Did you see that?
Yeah, they wanted him to fly to where she was and make it only an hour. And he said, you got an offer to come to Austin to my studio like everyone else on the earth. I think even the Pope would go to Austin at this point to be with Joe Rogan, except for her.
Yeah, Donald Trump managed to do that. He was even late to his own events. He did 3 full hours. And by the way, he is a former president. She's never made it to president. So in terms of status, Donald Trump's a higher status person than she is. So good luck on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, very famous people have gone there, like Elon Musk smoking weed with him, and some other major people that are in our culture have gone to Austin. I mean, it's a blue area. She shouldn't feel uncomfortable about Austin. It's not like he's asking her to, to go to the middle of Iowa or something, but.
And it would be a complete softball interview. I mean, he even said, I'm not going to, I just want to have a conversation.
Yeah, well, his conversation may get a little in depth. I mean, I don't know if you saw the tail end of the one with Trump. Trump looked very disingenuous at the end of that Rogan interview when he asked him about the JFK files. It got very squirrely, and I was embarrassed, as were other people on Twitter who follow this JFK thing. He said he was advised by very good people not to release the files. And
it would embarrass a few.
And he said they would embarrass people who are still alive. I'm going, this is who we want, are the people who are still alive. It made no sense. He said Mike Pompeo, he's a very good person. He advised me. Who the fuck thinks Mike Pompeo is a very good person any longer? I mean, what is he? The last? There was so many weird statements about the files. He goes, did you see them? I mean, what did you see? I mean, it was all double talk, bro. And he just kept saying, I'm going to release them once they get back in there. But that's to be seen also.
That's the only worries. I mean, he did say, I will release them. I think it's time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
blah.
yeah. Okay. All right. So he said that the last time.
Then that is.
And he started asking about UFOs. He didn't know anything about UFOs. He sounded like your grandfather at that point.
Or me.
What's that?
Or me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But there was some stuff at the end where either he was getting tired or it was just he didn't want to talk about it. But he sounded. It wasn't his strongest moment about the JFK files. So I'll put it that way.
Fair enough. I really thought, at least I guess until that point, I didn't make it all the way to the end. I confess, but I did hear the JFK part. That's kind of where I had finished.
Well, that was at the very end. That was at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't get to the UFOs.
That was right after the JFK. It was the both were at the very, very end.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I thought that he did a tremendous job before that point, and he had a lot more knowledge on point of different things than I expected. I mean, he's strong on certain things, but this wasn't about knowledge. This was about national security and the JFK files. He was just saying what he said previously, that a lot of good people told me not to release them, and then Rogan, to his credit, just kept drilling down. Saying, why? What did you see? Who told you? What was in there? What do you think's in there? And he just was burying himself, bro. I'm sorry. That's true. And Rogan can be very good.
Yes.
When he gets on.
Yes.
Somebody put it really well. If it's something Rogan knows, then he's a pit bull.
Yeah.
And generally he's like kind of, really a laid back or whatever. Another thing he did, I think that this is earlier, Trump did kind of hem and haw about the stolen, election part. He wasn't as strong. I wish he brought those papers with him and said, there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this. Because Rogan was very fair about that when he said, I'm not going to interrupt you. I'll give you all the time, whatever. And he was like, well, I'd rather da 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 da. It's like, I know. For 3 hours.
3 hours.
Like, I agree with Donald Trump. I mean, Kamala would be on the floor screaming for a medic.
No, she couldn't survive. It's just impossible. She couldn't survive that. I mean, he could do anything in a hurricane. He could do this. I mean, he's done it so much his whole life. It's really, it's meaningless to him how many times he's done this, But look, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Rogan finally got the guy on his show, and there's a lot to be said about that, positively.
Absolutely. And I like the whale psychiatrist. I really especially like, though, his story about flying into Iraq with no lights in the plane. That was Trump.
Well, how about The View? How about going on The View? And
that was good, but that was the one mistake that I heard early on, and I just cringed, but I haven't heard it again. So I'm happy about it. And I don't want to go into it because I don't need to amplify it. He said something. I was like, oh, they're going to take that out of context. It's going to be the next find people on both sides hoax that they did forever. And that was
he did go on The View a bunch of times.
No, he said essentially, instead of saying those women on The View are so stupid, he said those women are so stupid. And I was waiting because Tim Pool even clipped it. And I was like, why did you clip that, Tim Pool?
Yeah, why would he do that?
Why would you clip that and then put it out on
Yeah, what
X?
happened? Did he quit his show, Timpo? I left off last week. I don't know.
No, he did not quit the show. He just fired a bunch of people.
Okay.
I think he's going to take a day off a week.
Okay.
And essentially he's going to be a father and he's getting married. So now,
okay.
his life is,
yeah.
I'm honestly
quality problems, as we say.
Yeah, and in
these
fairness,
are quality problems.
He's been at it for 4 years nonstop, 16 hours a day. I've been there. I know, kind of what his schedule's like, and I commented back then. I'm like, that's a hardworking dude.
Was he firing Ian Crossland?
No, no. Ian's there.
Okay, because
I like Ian. Ian doesn't challenge Tim.
So I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That a lot of people have noticed that Ian is. If Ian was blonde, they might call him a bimbo sometimes.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
He plays that character.
Right.
A little bit.
Well, he's very nice. I mean, I met him. I did that show with down at Luke's place in Miami.
Right.
He was very nice to me, very sweet. He's kind of smart in certain areas, and that he knows about. He's very sharp in those areas.
True. And what's interesting though is Luke. The Quartering, who's another YouTube show. I don't know if you know him, but he poached the two people that were fired. Well, he poached one person that was fired, and she was on when I was on that night. Very nice person. And then Luke is also doing something with the Quartering as well. And Jeremy's like, yeah, I'm poaching Tim Pool's people.
Oh, all right.
Is
well, Luke's got his own show, I guess, and his own studio there.
He does.
Yeah, in a rough neighborhood. I got it's not exactly the center of Miami Beach where he is, but it's a little dangerous where his house is. I'll put it that way.
That's true. All right. So, to get to the news, I was happy to see that overnight or early this morning, this guy got out.
Woo!
And he
take out your number 2 pencil and write this down. This show has never been more powerful. The voices behind it have never been more powerful. The audience has never been more powerful. And we're going to deliver a knockout blow to your progressive insanity on 5 November. And then we're going to secure the deal after that. And number 2, the 4 months in federal prison not only didn't break me, it empowered me.
Wow.
I am more energized and more focused than I've ever been in my entire life. And I can see clearly, just like in 2016 and in 2020, exactly what's going on here and what we have to do to defeat it. Take out your number 2.
Anyway, I thought that was a nice
Bannon.
Welcome back.
Welcome, dude. You're talking about giving up stuff for your country. Bannon, of course, a partner of an old friend of mine named Jeff Quantinez, together. They made a lot of pop culture and music and videos and movies. He owns Seinfeld reruns, Bannon. This is a guy who knows pop culture, and that's why I like Steve Bannon. And Quantinez, who's a liberal, went to bat for him right at the beginning when he was brought on by Trump, and Quantinez was spoke very highly of Steve Bannon as a business partner, and I always respected that for Jeff.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually can see what he's saying though about the clarity, because as horrible as it is, and I'm not trying to encourage anybody to obviously go into prison, I think being taken away from everything to where he has had nothing but time to focus on who he is, what his beliefs are, and everything else. He's gone through the cauldron and he's coming out.
So did Peter Navarro. I mean, so did Papadopoulos. The list goes on and on and on, and as mentioned to you before the show, people should watch the interview with Paul Manafort, who just got out of prison, with Tucker Carlson this week. Breathtaking interview. I mean, he has no anger. He said he got through the torturous, and he was in solitary confinement, Paul Manafort.
Wow.
He is the first domino to fall. That's why Paul Manafort is important. Paul Manafort was Trump's original campaign manager. He was linked to the Ukraine as a consultant. He had a firm where he went back with Roger Stone and Black 1981 when Reagan was in. That's when he first met Trump. Trump was a client.
Was he before Lewandowski or after? Because I know Lewandowski was
way before. Yeah, way before. He had a firm with Roger Stone, a consultant firm, and Trump was a client. And he said, well, you know, they were asking him, what did you advise him on? He said, we were his eyes and ears in DC. He was in New York, and he hired us to just keep him abreast of different situations in DC. But he's known Trump since '81, and he was in solitary confinement. What they did was, he had a house right near me in Los Feliz. He had a bunch of different houses and properties. They took his taxes. They went through his taxes. They brought in a forensic auditor working for them. They disallowed his deductions going back a number of years immediately, then said his properties were ill-gotten gains. This is before the trial, way before the trial. They took his properties. They looked over his taxes. This was their system of doing it. And then he was convicted of tax fraud and put into prison. Simply, it would never have happened unless he was with Trump. And everybody knows that, and it is what it is. The same with Bannon, the same with everyone else. But he survived. He said the biggest fear, not to take away from the interview, which is 2 hours, brilliant. He said the biggest fear is before you get into the fire. Once you're in the fire, you can adjust inside the fire. But your fear is before you get into the inferno, meaning solitary confinement, which is where they put him, and he had to survive in solitary confinement. That being said, his analysis of the current election scene is brilliant, and his analysis of the Ukraine scene, how we got here, is absolutely brilliant. Very sharp guy, knows politics inside and out, very dangerous to the left, and that's why he was imprisoned. It's as simple as that, the same as Bannon.
You know, I was thinking about that yesterday, of all things. I forgot the guy's name. Zach. Anyway, the guy who played Shazam, he played in the movie Chuck. He played Kurt Warner. You know, he's an actor.
Okay.
And he came out for Trump. And you know, he's somebody he calls himself a B+. He said, I'm not an A-lister. He said a little below that. He said Shazam 2. Zach Levi. He was like, I'm not quite an A-lister, but he is risking a lot. Mm-hmm. Going out for Trump. And he was saying, I'm not out for Trump. He said, I'm out for Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, I saw that.
Elon Musk. And I was thinking about it. It's like, you know what? I think that's what's making this so powerful is the team that Trump really has put together, a team, not exactly a team of rivals, but it is along those lines. He's surrounded himself, and Jordan Peterson did a nice piece on that, calling it Trump's X-Men, and how, having Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Bobby Kennedy, J.D. Vance, etc., is so powerful. And I was thinking, who's around Kamala Harris? There is nobody.
I know. I've been saying this for weeks.
She's an empty suit, and there's nobody around her. Only Tim Walz, the CCP, who has the affair with the Chinese diplomat. I mean, it's kind of no wonder that the tide is turning, because I think a lot of people are voting for the full team.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Well, it makes you seem not alone. You know what I mean? There's a guy you should Google named Jay Johnston, who was on Mr. Show. He was on Bob's Burgers, I think. What's that?
I forgot Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, yeah. Jay Johnston is a guy who is another actor in Hollywood with a lot of credits, and goes pretty far back in terms of Hollywood. Comic actor. I think he was on the Arrested Development and Bob's Burgers and Mr. Show. He was in the Capitol and trespassing yesterday, sentenced to yesterday, not 4 years ago, yesterday, to 1 year in federal prison, and he has to turn himself in now, right before the election. Oh yeah. They're not going to stop. The only thing that's going to stop them is a political, sword to the back. And that's where people like this guy just got out of prison, Steve Bannon, and others like the campaign manager for Paul Manafort for Trump. They have been put through the fire. And I don't know about Bannon, but Manafort made it through on faith and family. And he said he has no rage. He has no anger. He said it would eat me alive if I maintained it, which sounded spiritually fit. But he's not giving up the fight. He's just not filled with rage against them. And then he said, that what Tucker said, Tucker, who really wants revenge, as does Barnes, I mean, from last week's show, I mean, and myself included. He says that's not in Trump's DNA, that he is not a guy who's vengeful, and he will do nothing about this stuff. He will do nothing because he wants to make deals. Like he said, he was making deals with the other side during his impeachment, as he brings up in the show, Manafort. He does not have a vengeful side. And he said to Manafort, after the election, he said, they kept chanting, lock her up about Hillary Clinton. And he said, I didn't lock her up, and I have no intention of locking her up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trump was talking about that. Absolutely. Trump did get pissed off, though. His, what was it? He said a statement last night or that before when he goes, I was so nice to her. Mm-hmm. And now she's doing it. And he's not happy with Michelle Obama. So I do think he will lay in some penalties. He doesn't make them permanent, but he will. People tend to go to prison who go after Trump. It's almost like he's a perfect magnet for their own scumbaggery to come out. See.
It's like that guy Michael
Cohen.
No, but the lawyer for
Avenatti.
Avenatti is what I was thinking of, and Cohen, but Avenatti specifically, who's still in prison. Yeah. I mean, nobody did that to Avenatti except himself.
Absolutely. And
but that being said, people do want revenge, Eric. They are regular people, and people do want vengeance.
I understand that. It's a hard call, though. I mean, I kind of understand both sides of it. Trump really is trying to move people forward. I think that's the truth. And I think it might be the biggest irony of all. Like you just said, he's really not a vengeful person. No. He actually is deep down a pretty kind person and generous, and a lot of his comments even say that. Like they were saying about his insults. He comes up with the nicknames for people, and he's like, "Well, some of my best ones were other Republicans, but now they're my friends, so I can't use them. I have to come up with new ones." And
if he doesn't want to do it, get somebody else to do it. But it's got to be done. I mean, these judges have to be jailed. These opposition have to meet justice. The people who broke the law have to pay the penalty of breaking the law. If he doesn't want to do it, get an attorney general who can.
That's fair. I mean, definitely.
You don't feel like doing it. If it's not your cup of tea, get someone whose cup of tea it is.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be done. I don't care if he does it. Somebody's got to do it. This can't continue. They're never going to stop.
That's true. I think it's going to be tempered, though. Like, people are saying they fear he doesn't have killer instinct. Well, he did take out the Iranian general. That wasn't, slack on the job. That wasn't somebody who had no killer instinct. That guy's gone. I also
thought it'd be great if he mailed all his adversaries for Christmas cell phones
or beepers
and said it, just innocuous beepers and just says "Merry Christmas, Donald Trump." That would be funny. Now, speaking of jail, which I wanted to talk to you on the subject of jail, apparently these people are getting out of jail. Also, Bannon is one of them, and apparently Manafort's out now, and Navarro is out. But apparently not the Chambers brothers, but the Menendez brothers may be getting out of jail. Yeah, I was thinking the Chambers brothers, but apparently the Menendez brothers might be getting out of jail. And what I'm hearing, the drumbeat in the city here in Hollywood, is they may be getting a lucrative Netflix deal, Eric, as I had predicted earlier. Netflix is now apparently Netflix is caught off guard by all of this. They don't know where this is all coming from. Netflix.
Oh my God.
They're completely shocked. They're apparently offering the Menendez brothers a lucrative post-prison part 2 of their own Netflix Menendez brothers documentary.
Season 2. What a great move.
Thank you. And that's why they paid to have them get out of prison, by donating money to George Gascon's campaign, who is going to go down by about 30 points to Nate Hochman in this district attorney's race. Apparently, George Gascon just woke up one day and said, I have to free the Menendez brothers. I can't live with myself. Everybody went, what? And this is an old tradition in Hollywood where LAPD and the DAs get involved in celebrity cases of people who either to reopen a case, to free somebody, or to reduce. In the same with the Stephanie Lazarus case, Eric, on 2020. She's up for parole. How is that humanly possible? Well, she has a lot of allies at LAPD.
Sure.
Another celebrity case, and this time a murderer, just like the Menendez brothers.
Absolutely. I want to address this rant here that came in. Isn't there a law against profiting from a crime you committed? I think that they can slide by this because they're not selling the murder. They're not saying we did this and we did that in a salacious. They're saying, okay, we served our time. Now we're out.
Yeah.
And they can sell. We're trying to get on our feet again. Can they get a job?
Well, they already have an agent.
And do that.
This is all baked into the cake, bro. This is not happening in real time. This has taken a number of years, this deal to put together, like the Netflix documentary series, like the Gascon getting a donation to his campaign to resentence them. All of this has taken multiple years, and there's money in it for Netflix. They're right here on Hollywood Boulevard. This is all Hollywood. This is not the first time. I don't blame Netflix. Other studios have done the same thing. When the Black Dahlia case was reopened, when a book came out saying this guy's father, an LAPD cop, was a killer, all of a sudden there was Black Dahlia. When the Natalie Wood case was reopened, twice, I think, for 2 different books and documentaries about Natalie Wood. This is an old tradition in town here. And Gascon, I think, took the check on the way out.
Well, okay, that means that the best cases have to be like Zodiac, where you can say, oh, it's my uncle. Okay, send him.
Well, that's what happened with Black Dahlia.
It was my father.
Yeah,
okay,
No, that's happened before.
Oh, it's my brother. Oh, it's my scout leader. Oh,
it's not so easy. It's not so easy because you usually need an intellectual property like a book to get this thing going. And it's usually cases that are unsolvable as opposed to Richard Ramirez, because that it leads to more fantasy and more writing and more, deliberation about who did it. But we know who did it this time. It was the Menendez brothers.
Absolutely.
And they're still getting out. And I think Stephanie Lazarus will get out, the LAPD murderers who killed her lover's girlfriend.
All right. Well, Nate's saying, hey, Nate, the Son of Sam laws are difficult to get by. Again, I don't think they're going to talk about the case. They can talk about their life and getting a job and stuff like that. I don't know if that.
Yeah, they could squeeze that any way they want. I mean, the fact of the matter is, to them, it's like being interviewed. They could funnel the money, which I think they'll do, to Kitty's sister, who was in her 90s, who was the mother's sister who was leading this charge. It'll be funneled through the family.
I think they also had an inheritance anyway. I don't know. So, I mean, there was money.
Yeah, that's how they got this far.
And by the way, it's not like they could spend very much of their money. They were a little occupied. So that compounding interest might have built a nice nest egg over time. 30 years of they're sitting there cooling their heels. Whatever money was there may have ballooned. I have no idea.
Well, that being said, look for them to be getting out shortly and being the toast of the town. Many killers have been the toast of the town in this town. I could mention a guy named Robert Blake, who clearly was involved in his wife's murder.
My favorite thing is, though, how many people have an alibi? I couldn't have done it. I had to go fetch my gun.
Okay, how about how many people were asked by Robert Blake to kill his wife? How many people on the crew? I mean, he's got the rope in there. He's got all the... Dude, it's just anyway. As I've said before, the divorce, Shatner too. Thank you, Dustin. Shatner also killed his wife. The divorce laws in California have led to the death of more women than any law on the books in California. And I'll tell you briefly why. And this includes Shatner. who drowned his wife the night she got out of rehab, who was a former Olympic level swimmer. When you're living on residuals, retired on resids, and you're let's say your residuals are $1 million a year, and you're used to going to Corniglia in Italy, you're used to going to Paris in the summer, you got a certain lifestyle that you just used to doing the same thing every year. All of a sudden, your $1 million becomes 500K. That's a horse of another color, and people begin to talk out loud about getting rid of the person who is causing that problem. And this has led to the Blake scene. Shatner got away with it. There are many others who did not get away with it, and many more who did. The point of the matter is there'd be a lot more women alive in California if this law did not take 50% from these accomplished actors.
And by the way, I want to underline everything we're saying with allegedly.
Allegedly or hypothetically.
Exactly. You know, we are a couple of idiot YouTubers spitballing.
Yeah, we're just spitballing. I don't know anybody involved in any of these cases.
Not a thing.
We had the future district attorney from Los Angeles on this show.
Riding in his vehicle.
Right. We had the district attorney. We're just a couple of YouTube knuckleheads.
That's
who
right.
Apparently have had both Nate Hochmans on the show. The Nate Hochman is going to be the district attorney of the largest county in America, that being LA County, for 10 million people. And young Nate Hochman, who is a big Trump supporting election supporter, and he will be with us at the meetup. We'll be tapping into Nate Hochman for a couple of minutes, along with, from what I understand, Alex Stein 99, who's going to be at the Kamala Harris campaign headquarters. This is going to be crazy.
We got to answer the phone immediately when he calls, because we've got to get him before he's thrown out.
Before he's evicted, right. Yeah. We're going to have Dr. Drew talking about the psychology of the people who are losing, what's going to happen to them mentally. Drew and I are going to talk about what's happening to the post-election psyche of the losers. And I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I've got one thing I want to ask him, and I know I can probably start him off on a lot. Well, I talked to him about narcissism.
That's his main thing.
I know. That's why I say I can open that up and say, let's talk about narcissism.
Well, we're in a post-narcissistic world here. So we're talking as post-election, let's say. We're going to have Rich Barris for a couple of minutes. Laura has allowed him to leave the room. So we've got her permission, and he's agreed to come on, talk about the current, in the minute, election moment that Barris comes on. So we may have him after we get a battleground state to go a certain direction. We're going to have him on. Obviously, Viva's coming on, bringing the Viva family.
Where's this all taking place, Mark?
I have no idea. Well, Boca Raton. Oh, there it is. Look at this. Okay, you got to go to Boca. How do you get to Boca? You go to americasuntoldstories.com/events. I think there's some tickets still left. I don't know how many, but
there are some left, but they are moving.
Okay,
they're definitely moving. It's 1 week from today, folks. So you want to definitely get that in so you can get your travel plans. And most importantly, if you are coming and you're out of state, make sure that you vote early.
Oh, yeah. Where's my
I voted last week. And
I voted too. Look at all the languages I voted in.
And can I point out that it's a good idea to vote early? I didn't realize how important it was. I was watching or listening to Megyn Kelly, and Sean Spicer was talking about it. And okay, I don't know everything. I didn't put together. And she said, what about people who are going to vote in person?
Yeah.
And he said they acknowledge that it's still important to vote early, even if you're somebody who's going to vote no matter what in person, because if you go in and vote early, you get marked off, and they know, don't call, don't bug, don't expend any resources on that person. Right. Use that money to track down somebody else who's a low propensity voter, so we can get more there.
There's also shit happens, Eric, that equation.
As well, vote in the bank.
You don't know what's going to happen election day. I mean, your dog could get sick, your house could burn down, God forbid. Your wife gets ill. I mean, anything can happen. What?
Weather.
Yeah, the weather. There's a hurricane. You don't know. Get it over with. Play their game.
Absolutely.
I mean, take advantage of their rules. They're making these rules, and the last time nobody took advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Okay. And Dustin's going to be headed to Boca tomorrow on his
On his
unicycle.
unicycle. This guy, let me tell
He's
you
got to
something.
leave early.
He's got 2,700 miles to go, or I think it's 2,100 on the unicycle, which is the old record. The record they said would never be broken, like Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, and now the 5 consecutive game home run streak by Freddie. The 5th one last night, going out against the mighty Crankies into the right field pavilion, or porch as they call it there. I already voted to Jason Willis. Good. Okay. Freddie Freeman will have a chance tonight, right after America's Untold Stories, to hit a 6th consecutive home run in 6 consecutive World Series games, a record that may never be broken, like Dustin's unicycle.
Is there something going on tonight? I guess.
Oh, yeah. Put it this way. We have, because of the events tonight, we have our usual paramilitary armored personnel vehicles in the streets of Los Angeles, which we're so used to, in case there is a victory tonight. The way we celebrate here is a little different. It's kind of like a coup d'etat in Chile. So the sheriff comes out with a complete paramilitary force to try to save whatever buildings they can. In the celebration. Oh, yeah. No, dude.
Nothing like celebration when you burn your own city down.
Got to burn the city to the ground. You know the rules, Hunley.
All right, well, fair enough. But I know some rules. I want to acknowledge some people. Brian King is a new member, and we thank you. And then Pew Pew is back, giving 10 America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you very much, Pew Pew. We do always appreciate it. And Bitson has a story Blitzen has a story.
Yeah, Terry Gard
passed away.
Yeah,
MS,
great comic actress. Yeah, great comic actress. I would say young Frankenstein. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with Terry Gard.
Right. Well, I
don't know what Knockers is. It maybe some movie.
A line. It was a line. What Knockers? Thank you, Doctor. I think that was from Young Frankenstein.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's an obscure reference. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Pamela Clifton, happy Tuesday, guys. President Trump's rally at MSG was awesome. It's also the place where our favorite singer Elvis appeared in 1972.
That is true. Everything is post 1968 for that arena, including Willis Reed coming onto the court, wounded Willis Reed for the New York Knicks. There's a lot of famous things that happen in that arena.
We already answered this, but yes, we both have already voted early.
Yeah, I already did it.
Everybody to do the same.
Yeah. Well, in my place here, you got to go over to a building that has no one in it and vote. I mean, it's staffed for weeks and weeks. There's nobody in there except the people on the government payroll who were working there. There was like 12 people and no voters.
All right. Corey Stanley is a new member. Thank you very much.
He's the heir to the Stanley tool fortune. I remember that guy. His grandfather invented Stanley tools, I think in 1879. Sorry.
All right. And thank you again, Scott. Sean Lucan gave 10 America's Untold Stories memberships. And thank you, Sean. You're getting on the board now, like Pew Pew and Dick Dickerson. And we definitely appreciate our big rolling membership givers.
Let me ask you something. Is this woman an atheist or a Christian? This Kamala Harris, because
I don't even know what her ethnicity is or her accent is, Mark. So how would I know that?
No, but again, I did a brief dive and I cannot find.
She claims to be a Christian,
but that's also, recently, right?
But she also was named after a Hindu goddess.
Yeah,
and I think she early in her career was doing things that were Indian. I don't know what the hell she is, but it's
possible she, like many of them, she could be an atheist, is what I'm saying.
I'm sure she's deep down not really.
I don't know how deep down you got to go. I mean, there's plenty of people on the left who admit they're atheists.
But she claims to be praying twice a day and all that.
Okay.
So I'm just saying. No, she said I pray every day, sometimes twice. But then that was that crowd. I don't know if it's the hot pepper crowd. I don't know which crowd. It's like she, what is it? They call it code changing or something. But she changes her accent with whichever group she's around.
That we know. I mean, Hillary did that too. A lot of people do that. But Hillary was a Christian. I mean, there was no debate about.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There was no debate about the religion of these people. I mean, now I don't know if she's atheist. That's fine, but you got to say something. You can't just say, I'm a Christian and you've never been to a church before. Was she baptized? I mean, was she, I presume maybe not, because she had the Indian mother. Maybe not.
Well, and her father was an atheist. I can't see Marx's father being a Christian. That's
right. But he did have some religious relatives back in Jamaica who were pastors. The father.
Right, but again, I don't even know about her, because like her father is damn near disavowed her because she's insulted and pissed him off, because the only reference she makes to Jamaica is smoking weed, and Marxist or not, he hates that.
It's funny because they expect her to negotiate. They expect her to negotiate with the premier of China and Putin and Zelensky. She can't even negotiate a settlement with her own father, who lives 2 miles from the White House. I mean, it's a little bizarre that you can't. The guy's like 88 years old. You're telling me that you can't find some sort of resolution to the relationship, or we're expecting you to resolve the relationship between Zelensky and Putin that has led to 400,000 dead, and you can't resolve the broken relationship with your own dad? It's a little bit of a stretch.
No, I mean,
he's 88 on me.
She's not going to be able to sit down for more than 3 hours for an interview. So how is she going to go into any long negotiations anyway, or any kind of crisis that, I'm sorry, crisis. It's got to be a 20-minute crisis.
The guy has never been in the White House, and his daughter has been the vice president for almost 4 years, and he lives 2 miles from her office. It's a little much, Eric.
I agree. And her mother is passed on. So
no, right. That's what I'm saying.
The only parent left.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's just insane.
He may say, screw you, I don't want to be near you too.
Well, that's not what I'm hearing, because apparently he'd like to get some rapprochement in the relationship, and she's the one saying, go F yourself.
Okay.
But again, he's nobody. She's somebody who's going to have to negotiate settlements with rather abstract people with the personalities that don't really mesh. So she apparently has absolutely no experience in this field, even with her own family.
That's fair. But you know what, Mark? I'm hoping that she can get some time off, say come next January, and have all the time in the world to work out all the relationships and take care of her family and have a wonderful life with her husband. Just don't get too close. You might get hit. But I wish her the best in her personal life.
Speaking of relationships, did you hear what China Tim had going on over there with his own Fang for a number of years?
Let me, from what I understand, Fang Tim came forward and said that he drove her bonkers. I can't say words on YouTube, but he made her feel things that are forbidden on YouTube.
Well, she has admitted it in public that she expected him to marry her, and that was in the cards, and he reneged on it. And she was a high-ranking daughter of a communist Chinese official. We know that now. Apparently quite the piece of work, this Tim Waltz, from what I understand. According to her, this woman has gone public now, who was his main paramour over in Shanghai.
Yeah, and by the way, I have to agree with Mike A. That is the first thing that came to a lot of people's mind.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, is that gay?
Well, maybe he switched. I mean, people do switch playing fields many times in their lives. I mean, maybe he switched over, and that's why he couldn't marry her. But he married this other dingbat, so I don't know about that. He married that dingbat, and he's got the kid.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the recent dingbat, did you hear that Glenn? I think it's Gwen or Glenn. It's Gwen, right? Gwen. Yeah. She's been pulled from the campaign trail.
She's just too crazy. I mean,
they're like, shut her up, put her somewhere.
She was like the governor of Vermont who was screaming.
The dean. Okay,
the dean.
In fairness, I hate to defend Howard Dean, but he got screwed over. Because they showed it from a different angle, and it really wasn't that exaggerated. It just caught it completely wrong, and he was hoarse and trying to speak over the crowd. But he was.
It did end this campaign.
Oh yeah, he was done.
Yeehaw! I think he named about 30
Scream,
states.
and even it was
The
a
Dean
thing.
Scream. I think
Yeah.
he named about 20 states in that rant. You know, and then and it's on to Georgia, it's on to Wyoming, and I'm going, whoa, bro. But that was the height of the cocaine epidemic. So to his credit, he may have been caught up in the popular culture at that time.
Oh, I thought Vermont was for snow, not cocaine.
Well, not Vermont itself. I'm saying nationally it was at the height of the cocaine epidemic.
I see. Yeah, man. That makes sense. That makes sense. Let me see. Scott Biddle said, Eric, you may want to retape the start of that ad. When you say, quote, good food or something like that, it sounds like you said cult.
Okay. We'll get into
listen to the ad, so maybe that's a good thing.
You know, the Biddle family, I think, came over on the Mayflower. The original which Scott is part of, as many people know. The original Biddles from Massachusetts, I think, landed on Plymouth Rock. I could be mistaken about that.
Okay, that could be. Nate the lawyer here saying Menendez brothers cannot make money on their crimes, son of Sam laws, which we discussed. And Nate and I will be on a phone call arguing later.
Are the son of Sam laws federal or are they New York State? When did they become federal law? Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know if they're federal or state.
They're not federal.
Probably both, if there is any federal. I don't know. Good question.
Okay.
I'm not going to. Well, I will argue with Nate on a phone call, I'm sure. Pamela Clifton, President Trump plays his opera song Nassoon Doma at his rallies to give those people a message.
What was that?
Okay, that opera song Nassoon Dorma.
Oh yeah, what is that?
Apparently, at the end of a movie, and chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm wanting to say John Wick, but I don't know if it was John Wick. It was a Nassoon Dorma.
I just want to give you an update on this one thing here, because California's son of Sam laws was struck down in 2002 by the Supreme Court of the state of California because of Barry Keenan, one of the men who kidnapped Frank Sinatra Jr., which may turn out to be an episode later in America's Untold Stories, so I don't want to give that away. And there was a whole background of this phony kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr. that he was involved in. But in 2002, the son of Sam laws was struck down here. New York, I think they're still in place, if I recall, but not here.
Okay, hold on. Somebody else is pushing this in. Son of Sam laws are state laws, although the federal government passed similar legislation in the Victims of Crime Act of 1984. So I don't know. We'll have to see if there's federal, then there's that. But it
says California, Massachusetts court, both Nick, son of Sam laws. I've never heard that here because everybody ends up making a documentary here.
Okay. Well,
I'm sure when Lazarus gets out, Stephanie Lazarus, she's going right to Netflix when she gets out, and she killed a woman too.
Nate, I've got a great idea for a video on the Nate the Lawyer channel. Maybe you want to cover Son of Sam laws, where they're actually effective, where they're not. And
it's state by state, by the way. Yeah.
And they're saying there's federal laws too. So I don't know.
Okay. I don't know about a federal law that you can't make money off of the crime, but okay.
Well, they just mentioned the, Nassoon Dorma.
Yeah. What's the deal with this now? This Italian opera thing?
Yeah. Okay.
What is
the end of something? I can't remember which movie it was. Maybe it was a Sum of All Fears, or it was Sum of All Fears. Okay. They showed everybody being executed who was involved in a plot. Just quietly. They're
Godfather 3, maybe.
I think it might have been Sum of All Fears, but anyway. At the end, it was kind of like everything, and then quietly that's playing in the background, and then the bad guys all get taken out 1, 2, 3, 4, and so people are saying that Donald Trump is sending that out as a signal that when he gets in, that essentially the deep state is going to be all taken out.
I'm sure they're shaking in their boots. They're quaking in their boots.
Okay, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Oh yeah, I think you're right. Mission Impossible. Well, I don't know which one.
Well, I named like 4 movies, so hopefully something.
I remember it now. Yeah, when they were in Italy. It was that one, or maybe it was James Bond, where the whole house sinks into in Venice.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot. I don't know. What difference does it make? He's not going to do anything anyway.
Let's see. Charlie Two Hands. I think Trump needs to set some examples. The weaponization of the alphabet agencies has been insane. He needs a pit bull for an attorney general. Yes, if he just starts like release Elon Musk. I would like to see Elon Musk go through like he did in X and just shred the federal budget. That would be interesting.
Okay.
And then let Bobby Kennedy go poke around in anything dealing with health. And by the way, how do you like how he said about Bobby? He's like, that's great on health. I'm going to keep him away from anything dealing with energy and stuff. He's a little bit sketchy on that. I don't know.
That is true. He doesn't know anything about energy.
But I just love how Trump is saying that. He's like, oh, I love the guy. But he can't do that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they've had hours of conversation about various subjects, and you can figure out from these conversations what the other person knows, what they don't know. Right. That being said, how do we get revenge, Hunley? How do we get revenge?
Get Trump in first.
And then how do we get the revenge? I'm more about the revenge.
We'll be devising and calculating our plan.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it at the meetup.
Right now, we're going to be
why don't you come to the meetup, not you, but the people out there, and bring your best plan of revenge, what you'd like to see. Bring your blueprints of revenge to the meetup. We'll have a Q&A after the live show, and you can present your target. Let's just make it simpler. Who's your target of your revenge? Put it that, and why and how.
Yeah, my first thing is just clean out what is there. Like, I think a massive sacking, and apparently, to Trump's favor, Tulsi and Bobby apparently have been working already on establishing cabinet positions and everything else. He's privately funding that. No, I mean, he did admit on Rogan, I thought that was important, that he had no clue going in what to do. And so now he does have a team on that. That'll be helpful because I think that when they do replacements on cabinet positions, they need to go about 3 levels deep. Not just the top people, but those senior deputy, down the line, they really need to cut.
They're just going to go over to CNN and begin impeachment and become $600 million a year CNN analysts. What I recommend is incarceration. That way they can't be on CNN. I'd strongly recommend incarceration after a trial for treason.
For now, I just want to get Trump in and get them out of office.
See, the right is very soft. They bark, but they don't bite.
It's
they really don't.
It's about
they bark, but they don't
control.
bite.
It's about getting control first. Then you could determine how to sort it out.
It sounds squishy. Sounds squishy.
Yeah, squish, whatever.
It sounds very squishy.
Yeah, well.
I'm going with Bannon on this one. I'm a Bannonite.
Brian D said, here's some drink money help. Thank you for another great informative stream. Go Pack Go. Not going to jinx the Dodgers.
No, I'm not saying anything about the Dodgers because right now it's a precipice of something, and I'd rather not jinx it. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah. I heard something's going on, but anyway. Diffuse 56. If you guys ever really started researching UFOs, you'd become fascinated in a short order. I teach a university course on the topic, and the students love it.
Apparently, you've never seen the show before because I could educate you about what it's like to have a close encounter with a UFO. Well, I know you're teaching a course about it, but I've actually encountered one. It's an episode that Hunley's going to tell you about right now.
Yeah.
Sonora House or
Sonora House. Yeah. Well,
you
know what? Just to make life easier, there is a playlist on YouTube that says Mark's Memories or something like that. And you just go to that and that's stories.
No, but I mean, it's presumptuous thing. If you guys ever really started researching UFOs, it's a little presumptuous, bro.
Okay. Well, I presumptuous on Mark's part. He's 100% right about me. I've done almost no research on UFOs. Period.
Well, that's Hunley's.
I know, but it's true too.
He's an expert in other things.
Doc 5758. Mark, do you think President Trump has a chance to win the popular
vote? Of course, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. Who cares? I mean, again, the popular vote doesn't really get you anything, but it does give you, bragging rights. Bragging rights.
Well, more of a mantle. I mean, it shuts the side down.
Let me ask you this way: what would you rather have? A 350 electoral college vote or 293 and a popular vote?
I want it all.
No. Again, that wasn't the question. Thanks for stopping by.
No,
but
no problem.
I'm asking you.
I choose my answer.
You can lose the popular vote and still win a landslide victory in the Electoral College, or would you rather win the popular vote and eke out an Electoral College victory?
On that, I don't care. I think actually winning both is better at this point. Winning both is better.
Okay.
Even if it's fewer electoral votes, if you win, you win. Winning both, I think, is a stronger signal. Then it just shuts everything up. No, you don't have it. You lost it all. Okay, you lost everything. Shut up. Try working forward.
Okay.
Now, obviously, more electoral will be better. But honestly, a Republican can't win the popular vote, in my opinion, without getting a lot of electoral at the same time.
Well, that's not true. I mean, all of these guys have lost the popular vote and had pretty large electoral.
That's my point. And they needed even more electoral to pick up the popular
vote.
vote.
No, but I'm saying what gives you the mandate, the Electoral College or the popular vote?
Technically electoral, period.
Right. That's what my point is.
But I'm saying that if you tack that on and have a bigger win, that's more of a mandate, in my opinion.
Okay.
But, these are all opinions. We just want to win. Let's see. John S. Having a U.S. election party here in London on 5 November. Will buy a round for my 5 friends every time Trump wins a swing state. Wow.
How many people are over there doing this with you over there? You and
I don't know.
The expats from New York, LA?
But you see, John S. is on to something here. Okay. Yeah. Because he's having the party on the 5th of November, but he's already got an out. Because at 7 p.m., it's going to be midnight. So when all this makes sense, you can kind of like,
look, you gotta wish him well. We're gonna try to focus on the live show. I don't know if you noticed this, but let's see if we can focus on bizarre election stuff. I've started to read up on some bizarre election stories, so we can actually have a show about the history of unusual elections in the United States. We'll focus on presidential. And then, just oddities in the election, I think might be a theme for the night.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
And we could quiz the room.
I don't know about quizzing the room. I don't really trust the room itself. If you remember the last time, they tend to get raucous and start yelling things like they're in their living room, Hunley. So let's try to keep them out of our business. And just
it says the guy who's going to buy them drinks.
No, I don't care about that. I'm saying, remember that there are 50,000 people watching us at home. I don't want to get into a shouting match with Laura Greenstein of Nebraska.
Yes, I know we have people.
Which happened a lot. I'm just making this up, but I'm saying there were people yelling things, and they get caught up in the moment. They think we're in their living room.
Yep. All right, Goose Toots. KH is Brahmin, highest class in India, Hindu.
Her mother or herself? I don't know if.
I don't.
It might be her mother. I don't know. I don't think she's ever said that.
Yeah, I don't know. And then Kevinator Phase 1 is a new member. Thank you. Brad Pitless. Did the Biden feds raid the Brooklyn House of Detention yesterday to remove P. Diddy under everyone's nose?
No, but they did go in there. Multi-agency task force went into the Brooklyn House of Detention yesterday, unannounced. All different levels of government went in because of the conditions in the prison. I don't know if P. Diddy's still there, last I looked, but it was unusual what happened yesterday. It kind of went unnoticed. Multi-agency task force going into that prison. I don't know what that was about.
I don't know.
Unusual. Very unusual.
Well, this isn't related to P.
Maybe
Diddy
they wanted
himself.
to destroy the cameras that are in there. Make sure they don't film anything, Eric.
There could be that.
Yeah.
I was thinking though, because you said New York and feds, it started to make me think about Mayor Adams. And have you noticed that Mayor Adams has been kind of quietly supporting Trump there? With certain
Trump
statements
supported him at the dinner.
I know. That's why I was saying, and he's returned the favor. Because
he wouldn't be the first mayor indicted. Look at William O'Dwyer. We did an episode on the mayor of New York who became the ambassador to Mexico City overnight. He fled before being indicted. But yeah, he may beat this.
He might. I know, but I just was saying that it was interesting because he came out on Sunday and was, kind of laying into everybody about the Nazi comments and things, and I thought that was cool. And he seems.
Well, he also admitted that he's been called a fascist by his opponents in New York. I think it was about the fascist comment. You're saying Nazi? Or?
Yeah. Well, it's all together.
Did you say
he said Nazi, fascist. He said
I'm sorry.
Whatever.
Okay. All right.
And he has been called that, and of course he has because he was a cop. And half of these people will call a cop a fascist, just interchangeably.
Okay. All right. I got it. But he seems to have a certain relationship with Trump, so that might be.
I think so. I think they're building a relationship.
Well, he can't pardon him, but he can pardon one guy, and that's P. Diddy, who's facing federal charges.
He could, but he could also give Mayor Adams potential. Well, what do you mean he can't pardon him? They're federal charges
Against Adams?
Yeah. It was the FBI.
I thought there were state charges.
I thought there was the FBI that was bugging him.
I know they did, but I think the charges, I don't think those are federal corruption charges. They may be. I thought it was state. But Diddy's definitely fed. And Diddy could go free under the new Trump administration. She's never letting Diddy out. But Trump would let Diddy out, in my humble opinion. If Diddy is willing to show Trump the videos. Now that's the caveat. Trump's going to have to see the videos to make sure they are of a certain quality.
Certain quality. Whoa, he's going to rate. Anyway, interesting choice of words there.
Yeah.
Zaria 439 gave a rumble rant, said, "Not revenge, returning the favor." Cheers.
Oh, that's a way to look at it.
Okay.
I think one judge has to be incarcerated, one politician, one FBI official, one CIA official, just one of each. You can pick whoever you want. There's got to be one of each area that has to be incarcerated. That could be 90 days, could be 8 years, whatever it is. But someone from each branch of government, including the Pentagon, Eric, including this Mark Milley, his family, whatever the hell he's got going on over there, have to be incarcerated. The removal of pensions, we're way past the point of taking away a pension.
Okay. Federal wirefront. Oh yeah, they're federal. I'm looking. All right, the chat's saying federal about Adams, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
So if it is federal, then yes, he needs to be very nice to Trump in case.
Oh, maybe he's on it.
Work out.
Maybe he's on it.
Could be. RS or RSP just watched a Kamala ad saying, "We are the underdogs in this race, and we need your help." She admits to being the underdog.
They're trying anything at this point.
Well, she's been saying underdog for a while, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you're the incumbent, right? Oh, wait, you claim the record, but you're not the record. It's horrible. And Pamela says it was the sum of all fears where the deep state is dealt with. Okay.
Tom Clancy's book?
Yeah, but the movie. I don't know if it was one with Harrison Ford or they remade it, I think, with Ben Affleck, or I don't know if they remade it. I haven't followed it. Mike A., I just hope Trump's people listen to us this time. How many times did we scream fire Fauci? That's a guy I want to see prosecuted right there.
Okay, so you've got one.
Well, I'm saying start with some high-level people. Were the examples. Okay. And then Pew Pew gave 10 more America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you, Pew Pew. Mm-hmm. And Dog Boy said Trump 2024, gee damn it. Okay.
You know why it's federal? Those Turks are involved. That Turkish storyline.
Okay, well, there we go. Okay, so it is
the federal. Turkish storyline, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay, so there you go.
It's Turkish, yeah, so it's federal.
Okay, and well, I saw wire fraud.
Well, Diddy's shouldn't be federal, but luckily for Diddy, it is. You know, taking people across state lines? What is he, Chuck Berry? I mean, it's something out of the 1950s. He violated the Mann Act. Like, what is the crossing state lines thing here? He kidnapped and took girls across state lines?
I don't know. Let me see. Mike Schaefer said, "What's with the COG helicopters in D.C.?" Yeah, apparently they were doing a continuity government experiment or something in front of the White House.
Dude, they're flexing their muscles for their desire not to leave on January 25th. So they're going to be flexing some muscles. And, Barnes doesn't think there's going to be rioting. I don't know what planet he's living on, because these people riot over the 4th game of the World Series. They don't give a shit about rioting.
No, maybe where you live.
No, but I mean, it's New York, it's LA, it's going to be everywhere. They would riot if the Yankees won the World Series. They would riot. I mean, it's not a big deal to the rioters, to people who riot for a living. Anything makes them riot, Eric. You know that.
I guess. I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. I am hoping that because he's in the lead now and it's holding, that it'll be tempered. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it'll be tempered a little.
Yeah, it'll be tempered, I'm sure. Well, especially when Harris and Biden fan the flames, going, keep going. This looks good. Keep it going. Did he do something today? He had some sort of a press or a PR thing that he did, Biden, where he got the guy's name wrong again, some senator. He called him Senator Van Halen. And everybody's wondering if Biden was a Van Halen fan. If so, what era of Van Halen, who the guy was that was Van Halen. Still up in the air from this afternoon's press conference.
Probably just a name he heard before.
I mean, he didn't say Senator Sammy Hagar, which is what he really should have said. But then he started singing "Hot for Teacher," which was really awkward.
I hate it when that happens. Hate it when that happens. All right, so we've got one more super chat here. Greetings from a Dutch man living in Leipzig, Germany. Have you heard about Bill Gates having to face court in Holland because of COVID vaccine lies? I mean,
no, we did. It's civil. It's not criminal. We discussed it with Barnes, I think, on Friday or somewhere. It's a civil case. So I don't know, facing court. Yeah, I mean, how tough is that court?
You know what, though, Mark? Civil or not, civil can lead to discovery. That discovery could lead to criminal.
I don't know what the rules are over in Amsterdam, so we don't really know how.
I don't know, but I think that he could potentially be tried as an international criminal. I mean, this is international thing, COVID, right? So
yeah, I don't know.
I'd be good with that. How about the Hague?
You're talking about Al Haig, General Al Haig, obviously.
Absolutely.
General Al Haig,
the late great Al, yeah.
Not to be confused with the Hague, as Hundley calls him.
Yeah, he's going to come back from the dead.
By the way, John Mitchell will be our next Watergate subject matter in 2 weeks for people keeping score at home. John Mitchell, who may or may not have played ice hockey for the New York Rangers in Madison Square Garden. I'm just going to tease it out. One of the most fascinating Watergate characters of all time, John Mitchell.
Okay. That makes me ask another question, but
I don't know anything about that. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing that episode.
Yeah,
what's going on? All right. So what other stories? We got a couple more. Did you see that Laura Loomer is suing Bill Maher?
Yeah, that's interesting. How far does that go?
I'm not sure. And
she's going to have to come here. She's going to have to do it in LA, right?
Probably, but I don't know. I don't know if she'll have a case or not.
I think he's a comic. I mean,
and he's a public figure, and she's a public figure.
It's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere.
I think that maybe that's just a suit to save face. Like you can't just say boom, boom, like to show that you're not going to tolerate that, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, maybe she'll double down or something, or he'll double down. That's for sure. Didn't Trump sue him for a lot of money at one point?
Yeah, and he lost.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, this is what I was talking about earlier. In Pennsylvania, the Democrats are going around with these voter protection badges.
Oh boy,
looking like they're campaign officials and messing with people. And these are what the lines were like. Oh, and this is early voting lines.
Interesting.
So they're scared if they're out there trying to shake things up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how effective they will be, but they're not going to go quietly in the night. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think they're going to go quietly.
No, it's getting very, very, very stressful to consider. Now, this story broke earlier. I don't know if you saw anything about it. I didn't get deep into it, but there's a whistleblower who came out and talked to the Washington Times about Comey, who had honeypot spies infiltrating Trump's 2016 campaign.
Interesting move for a closeted homosexual, but I'll accept it.
Okay, so you haven't heard anything about it? Apparently,
No, I haven't. I have not. I have not heard.
He had an off the books operation.
Wow.
That had predated the Crossfire Hurricane.
Wow.
And had 2 female FBI undercover agents infiltrating the election at high levels.
Wow.
Directed to act as honeypots while traveling with Mr. Trump. Now, why would you have the FBI infiltrating a campaign?
Yeah, why would look, this guy has got to be indicted. I'm tired of hearing stories about James Comey. Just indict this guy and let's put him on trial. If he wins, he wins. Let's make this guy sweat. Give me a break with this cat. And then this other guy, Link Ray's descendant over there, the FBI director Ray. Let's get that guy on trial. I mean, come on. Firing is not going to cut it. They'll end up suing and getting millions. Like what's his face did with his honeypot girlfriend.
Yeah, which is just the most despicable thing ever. Peter Strzok.
Strzok and Page.
So you actually pay him off.
Yeah.
Why? Because you revealed his secret text where he's being a borderline traitor? Well,
no,
how does that work?
It's just a payoff from the Department of Justice internally. I mean, something's got to give. You can't just ignore them and say, I'm going to focus on running the country. You cannot just ignore all of these criminal acts and just want to get along with everyone to get along. I'm sorry. We're way past that point at this point in the country. Something's got to give. Right.
Okay, this is what I was telling you about earlier. Check out this guy here. And this is Pennsylvania.
What is this guy supposed to be?
Emergency services.
241.
Look at his sign.
They are ending the line.
Who does he represent?
He's a cop.
He's an official cop of that town?
Apparently, look. We'll just stop it. No more registrations for you.
Weird.
There's some shady things going on there.
Weird. Yeah, I told you it's going to be Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. I've said it a million times.
He has been lit up all day long about all kinds of things going on. Bucks County, Lancaster,
all roads lead to Pennsylvania. I've been saying it on this show for 6 months, and I don't mean that as highway roads. I mean, or as a winner-take-all state. I mean about corruption. They know that they cannot win this election without Pennsylvania, and they don't have Scranton Joe any longer.
Well, and this guy, James Blair, who's in charge of Pennsylvania, he's literally saying, this is earlier, so it might be too late now, whatever, saying Pennsylvania voters must stay in line. This is the final day of early voting. Get out there, cast your vote. Don't let anybody turn you away. And then he has a site, pa.protectthevote.com, which may be closed on the day, so I don't really know if it's too late or not at this point.
Well, I mean, you could still vote election day in Pennsylvania. This is early voting, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So
well, they're going to yell fire in a crowded theater, the voting equivalent of that, whatever that amounts to in Pennsylvania. Bomb threats, fires in the boxes. You can't vote here. Stuff that we haven't seen since the 1940s, 1950s in this country.
Right. Now, David March, I think you're incorrect on this. I believe it was George W. Bush, not H.W. Bush, who last won the popular vote in 2004.
Okay. It's been a long time.
No, it's been 20 years. Yeah. It was Kerry against Kerry, but he's saying H.W. I think that W did it after H.W.
All right. Well, we can all Google that when we get off the air.
March will be down there and he can tell us if we were right in Boca.
Yeah.
He's headed down there. David J.B. Speaking of the Dodgers, I received an email just last Friday from the Steve Garvey campaign, 30 points behind. He and Gascon could go have a party, right? Asking for a donation, and I'm in Texas. What?
Well, look, I mean, you got the Rangers down there. You got Houston. You got some baseball teams down there. I don't know what part of Texas you're in, but, Garvey's final pitch, he was on Newsmax the other night. I haven't seen him. It's now been a year. He's been on nothing. He's making a final pitch saying, disregard the polls. Which is the same thing Gascon's saying, by the way. It's the only thing you really can say, Eric, right? I mean, when you could just say the polls have been wrong before, a massive red wave. I mean, Garvey's not wrong. I mean, I voted for him. I voted for him twice. There's a temporary seating of the senator, and then there, because of Feinstein leaving, and then there's the permanent 6-year. So he's on the ballot twice against Schiff. So I voted for him twice. Other people I know voted for him here. So who knows? I don't know. There's no other choice but to vote for Garvey.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean,
and he played in the 81 series against the Crankies with Fernando. So he's got that going for him. If
he was only in a state that Trump is going to carry, that might make a difference.
Well, he should have embraced Trump early on, but nevertheless, he didn't. I mean, you could make the argument he'd be losing by 61 points, but I find that hard to believe.
All right. Well, Scott Biddle wants you to know, Mark, we did come on the Mayflower.
Yeah.
Related to Mayflower, Madame.
Yeah, no, I thought so, Biddle. Don't try. I could suss this out, bro. I have certain antenna about these weird kind of things. I know the Biddles came on the Mayflower. I know that.
All right. And
my parents came on the USS Ashkenazi, which was a Jewish submarine that came out of Poland and landed in Brooklyn. So we had our own vessel to go on.
All right. Thank you, Deborah Gill, for becoming a member.
He's a member now?
Deborah Gill is a member.
Okay, right on.
I think Scott might be. I don't know. Scott super chatted. I don't know if he's a member or not. No, he's a member because he's a member a long time. I think that was
yeah. I've seen his name before,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Let me see. All right, so we will be heading over to locals, which I pitched pretty hard.
Every time Eric says locals, I have to take a drink.
Okay, and turn your bottle so people can see the old emblem.
I don't have that.
What?
It must have come off. I don't have it.
Okay, well,
came off in the dishwasher.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's one powerful dishwasher.
Well, it's a weak label.
Okay, I don't know if it's dishwasher safe.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's something you got to scrub by hand, or in my house, I use illegal aliens who come in once a week and clean everything.
Not for long.
I know. It's going to be a dark day here, or a dirty house.
well,
whatever comes first. But okay, right. So Friday we have the news show.
We do.
Tuesday we've got I'm just trying to get this straight in my own head here. Yes. Tuesday we've got the meetup in Boca. Yes. I asked a woman to she sent me the final list of stuff. I said she's listing the tables and everything else, and I said, can you put a dais up, in the front for me and Eric? And she said, I'd love to. What's a dais? And so I Googled it and sent her the Google definition of what a dais or dais is. And I didn't hear back. So I assume she figured it out by now.
I don't know. She seems really on top of it. And it's going to be a great event.
She's on top of it. She's very good.
And the hotel rooms sound great. There's a description if you guys want to know what you're going to get with the hotel discount, what's involved with the rooms. That's all. Again, americasuntoldstories.com/events. Go there, hit the link. You can find out more about everything. There's a link to the tickets.
What?
And you can see what previous events were like. We try to post pictures of people and how things went down, stuff like that. But for now, we're going to head over to locals. And if you choose not to go to locals with us, then we'll see
you Friday.
We'll see you right here.
Or see you next Tuesday. CUNT.
Oh.
See how I did that? I worked that into one of your vernaculars.
Yep.